Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Biblio Fitness. Hope everyone's had a great day or going to have a great day. I don't know what time you're watching this. Hope you make fantastic gains. Today was a fantastic day for moi. I did hit 185 for the first time for 9 solid reps. Feel pretty good. It feels really good. One step closer to 2 plates. I really want to hit 2 plates by the end of the year, or probably by my birthday, and I think I can. As long as every day keeps going the way it does, then yes, it'll probably take me a few weeks. It's 40 pounds, so that's a few jumps, but it can be done. And wonder how big I'll be by the time I get to 2 plates, which is pretty cool. But aside from that, so today I wanted to talk about something that came up when I went out to this past weekend. I went out to trip out with a friend of mine on some psychotropic mushrooms, and it was a very intense experience, to say the least. I literally had to lay down because it was just too much. It was an overload. But what my friend and I was talking about, kind of like, for me, syncs so well with what I've been reading from Nietzsche. And the whole idea of, words being masks and morality being customs and obeying these laws and these rules without ever questioning them, never questioning, just, from the moment of your birth, watching your parents have a predilection for some actions and a repulsion towards others. And we adopt these things and we never seem to question them. And how morality, how adhering to the common morality is how we really measure our value, measure our success, whether we're in this ideology or not. It's a deeply embedded system, right? And we were just talking a lot about the anxieties and really, as young men, having to deal with so many responsibilities. An idea came into my head is I wonder how, imagine how many of our worries and our anxieties is from that morality. It's from worrying about other people. It's from worrying about the opinions of others. It's from worrying about whether I will fit into, whether I'm going to be able to measure up to all these different levels that other people have imposed upon me, and yet I've adopted it as my own. And the real great, the thing that really started making me analyze shit like that, why am I supposed to behave this way? Am I behaving out of fear? And what's the end? What is this God supposed to signify? What is this ideology supposed to signify? Because one of the aphorisms towards the end of Beyond Good and Evil have really been clawing into my mind, and that's the aphorism based around the hermit, the man that goes out to the deserts, goes out to a pure isolation, really being able to really dive deep in and go into the labyrinths of one's mind and understand where everything is coming from. Why am I, really understand oneself and really find the gold of the human condition, traversing all these paths and not leaving anything unattended, not leaving anything, no stone unturned, as they say, right? And Nietzsche goes on to talk about the hermit. Would look at, European philosophers or philosophers of this time and ridicule and question why, he would say, there's no way that these are your final analysis. There has to be an arbitrary reason of why you stopped here. There has to be a reason why you looked around and you said, this is where I'm going to put my spade down and this is where I'm going to make my bed. There's no way that you could have figured everything out. What are you hiding with your worries? What caves are you hiding with the caves that you've already found? What depths are you too scared to dive into? And when you take that into consideration, a lot of it really does make sense, because when you look at it from that perspective, words being masks, and you look at philosophers nowadays, you look at the ideology, you look at the religion, you start to really realize that there is a control mechanism involved. There is something else around, because, one thing that really tied into this was the movie Fight Club, was the whole message of this fucking pressure on men, having no way out, no war, no conquest, being told from the moment of our births that to exhibit all these masculine traits is to be a bad person, to be evil. The whole concept of good and evil in itself is whether you are you're based on your utility to the morality, to your community. And Fight Club was really making a lot of sense because especially talking about it with my friend this past Saturday, because we're all dealing with these same anxieties. Why am I feeling this way? I feel like a failure because other people probably think I'm a failure. And that's something that's really tied into what Nietzsche has been talking about recently, is like, our egos are never truly our egos. What we think of ourselves are never truly about ourselves. We always have other people in our minds when we conduct these things, when we construct these values. We always have other people in our minds. There's always this message of coming back to the ideology. And and Fight Club was personifying it so greatly because, that's a man unleashed. That's a man that no longer is tied to the morality. That's no longer, that kind of like really does understand what has been holding him back. What aspects of him that was adopted and not created by oneself. What are those attachments that are holding one back? Constantly measuring one's success to your adherence to the morality, and waking up and getting older and realizing all the promises of this morality have been in vain. They're all lies. Because if you really think about it, morality doesn't make the world better. If anything, the world, like, Nietzsche makes this really eloquent point, is morality gives you the promise that you are going to be rock stars, or as Tyler Durden would say, rock stars and movie gods and stuff like that, and you're going to be loved, and you're going to be a happy person, and you're going to be a better person, you're going to be happier, more content with yourself by following this morality. But most of the time, the morality produces the complete opposite effect. What does morality do? It reminds you of your own faults. It reminds you of your inadequacies. It brings shame and despair onto yourself, because first, the morality is basically saying that, you in your nature is an error and not enough. You have to castrate yourself. You have to morph yourself into a way that is beneficial to the community. And that's by placing yourself under the morality. The morality really is a control mechanism. And to, really contort yourself to that ideology. And how you're constantly reminded of your faults by trying to reach it, because that ideal itself will never be reached, right? And you have to question that ideal itself, especially nowadays, especially these past couple centuries, this effeminization of mankind, this running away from conquest, this running away from exhibiting power, this running away from all these things, has left us in the lurch. Adhering to this morality really has caused misery, hasn't caused happiness. And you have to really look at the morality and the ideology and ask oneself, why is it exhibiting these behaviors being a good thing? For who is this being good? Who am I being good for? Is it for myself? Because it's not. To really dive in, and to really begin questioning that with the morality. To be like the man, the hermit, really dive into the labyrinth and understand and detach all those moral scruples. Because I towards the end, when I was having that conversation with my friend, and when you realize this stuff, I was left out by the ideology. I feel like a lot of us feel left out. A lot of us feel ostracized, but yet unconsciously we try to get back into it, to try to be embraced in the bosom of the ideology once again, to not be alone, not be scared, not be alone, not have people around you, not have this isolation. Because from everywhere you look, isolation is bad, and to go into the group and to be alone is suspicious. And why do you want to be alone? Don't you want to be with the group and stuff like that? And I realized that when I was talking about that, and writing in my journal as well, is I was saying that I critiquing the ideology, but low key wanting to get back into it, low key still valuing myself in the same parameters of success within that common morality. You know, have I really let go of my longing to be in, to that for that embrace once again? You know, I feel like you really have to admit, not even admit, but like acknowledge and revel in the isolation and the and the solitary existence that a lot of us feel like, you know, because so much of our anxiety is measured because of those things. You know, to be ever watchful what other people think of you. You know, your ego being completely focused, centered, or built upon what other people have said about you, or what other people do with you or do for you. That's how you measure whether your actual value. And to be really consciously aware of that and start looking at it from a different perspective on yourself and who you are. You know, and obviously that leads to a complete renunciation. You know, why embrace back into the morality? Why, you know, those are real deep questions, right? Like, I know these things, but why do I want to go back? It's because maybe I don't see another option. And that's where the creating and the traversing and the experimenting and the failing has to come into play. Finding something that works for you, because I don't want to go back to the prevailing morality. You know, it didn't work for me. I fucked up terribly in my life trying to get back into the ideology. So what's the point? You know, why be apologetic anymore? Why try to adhere when, you know, I wasn't wanted to begin with, and now I don't want to? You know, it's pretty cool, you know, being able to see that, you know, being able to look at morality and being able to refuse it, because now you see that, like, you know, these are just me adhering to the rules of someone else, someone that wants me to be weak, someone that wants me to be pitiful, someone that wants me to constantly admonish myself and constantly ridicule myself and never have confidence, never have pride. You know, why am I being effeminized? You know, for whose advantage? And it's never for some altruistic bullshit, you know, because the last thing people want is men unleashed. You know, because then we start to realize that we really do run this shit, and it's kind of stupid that we still listen to other people. But, you know, I think that's one of the big secrets, right? You know, you don't want men to be proudful of their instincts, especially now. You know, everyone's a bitch nowadays, and everyone's a scared little pussycat. So that's maybe questioning even more. You know, it's never for good. It's never for, you know, it's never for any of these things. It's for another decision entirely. You know, the restraints of this morality, it doesn't lead to goodness. It just leads to despair, right? You can't even make your own decisions. It constantly has to be within the framework. Even for monumental, arbitrary, life-changing decisions, you can make them, but yet the ideology can't tell you how to act and why to act. You know, they can tell you, they can come up with these bullshit notions and these bullshit excuses to act this way, but yet you can't. And it just goes back to only the poor follow the rules. It's only meant for us. You know, and to release oneself, I feel like that's one of the ultimate goals. And I feel like that's the real big call of individuality within Nietzsche, is to realize all these constraints and realize that, you know, a lot of times I feel like shit because I continue to want to value myself in that way. And just, you know, really do embrace the isolation, embrace the fact that you are not clouded and diluted and restrained by the rabble of the ideology. You know, you can kind of now, you know, this is a really advantageous position of being able to look at it from outside in, instead of being crowded and being stuck only looking at a very small, narrow view. So, you know, he's been pretty amazing so far. I want to continue to dive in and asking myself those questions, you know, relieve some of those anxieties that I know that are completely artificial, and you know, and just, if I'm going to have anxiety for something that's going to help me, not help the community, you know, to be a little bit more selfish, because trying to be selfish just leads to despair a lot of times, right? You're having to constantly castrate yourself and stuff like that. So That'll be all for today, at least for now. It's really hot and my phone's probably gonna get fried. So hope you all have a great day. I'm gonna try to keep reading it on a day, either today or tomorrow. It's really been a fantastic book. I'm glad I picked it up. So hope you all have a great day. Hope you all make amazing gains. And until next time, peace.